Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, and I guess you guys noticed I changed the channel name to ARW, but this is still Amateur Redneck Workshop. And I searched for it by that the other day, and I got to the general vicinity, and once I got there it said ARW. So if you click on the ARW after doing a search for Amateur Redneck Workshop, you get to the whole list of videos. Okay? Now, I've been kind of busy around here. We had a big thunderstorm come through here, and I had that wood fence in the backyard that y'all have probably seen in videos, and it blew that sucker over. There was, thunderstorm with associated tornadoes. We didn't get one, but they were there. But anyway, it blew that darn fence over, and it just barely touched the boss lady's car, which she felt was pretty much of an emergency. And so I got out there in the rain. It was pouring down, and had her back her car up, so I tried to hold that fence up, which wasn't any easy job. It must have weighed a ton. So, but anyway, I got it up enough that she could back up and get her car away from it. And I thought about it, and I replaced it with a cyclone fence. She wanted a 6-foot fence, so I got a 6-foot cyclone fence with those little slats in it that it's supposed to give you privacy, but it's not much. Anyway, what I've been doing is my air compressor. I've been trying to make sure I get dry air from it, and I built a big desiccant holder to add to the little desiccant holder, and eventually I'll probably make a little chamber upstream of all that to knock out water. But I saw a guy, he was blowing, well, one of my viewers told me he was blowing down the bottom of his compressor to keep the air dry, and that had helped him a whole lot. So I ordered this timer, and this timer goes on the, on the compressor, and he said that he wired it right into the compressor start switch so that the timer would come on for however long he wanted it on and then turn off, and if the motor didn't start any for the next day, well, the thing didn't come on anymore. Although it does have a timer for how long to stay on and how long to wait before it comes on again. That second part, doesn't happen because I just power it up when the compressor's running. So that's what I'm going to show you, the installation of the new compressor blowdown and how it works. So let's just get on with it. What we've got here is a solenoid activated drain valve, and this little guy here can turn around different directions, and it's neatly marked for the direction of flow for the water going out. It's got a timer for how long it's going to be on and how long it's going to be off and such, and it can run on AC or DC. Well, I'm going to run it on AC because I'm going to wire it into the on and off switch on my compressor. This is a little connector for the drain out here, and see it's going that way, so let's do this guy onto here. This isn't permanent, of course, but there you go. That looks to me like it'll fit a standard water hose. And it's got a little valve inside of it, so you can turn it on or off if you get too much flow. And this thing came with a little book, a one-page book that tells how to hook it up. So my first step is to go to the compressor, lean it over, see what size plug is in the bottom, see what I got to do to run that up to a more reasonable location. I'm going to try to mount this somewhere up on the side of the compressor so I can get to it real easy. Alright, so let me take a look at the lay of the land here. Alright, so I want that timer up where I can control it. So I got two of these guys for the press-in plastic tubing, and it's used for air, and so that's what it's basically going to be used here. A little water. I took the drain valve out of the bottom and put one of the one of these fittings in there, and I'm going to run the hose up to the side of the compressor so that I can have the control up there where I can reach it and it's out of harm's way, so to speak. Okay, so if you follow the wire from the 110 volts in, you can see, dad burn, look at all this crud I got on my screwdriver. You can see it comes in here and here, and up here on the top of this switch is where it goes out to the motor through this side over here. That's awful. I don't know what I touched to get that on there, but there it is. Alright, anyway, I will attach the solenoid to these two spots so it only powers up when the compressor is running. I got this idea from somebody else. I'm not that smart, but it's a good idea, and that's what I'm going with. Okay, so the power wires for this guy go through this thing here, which I think should be about unscrewed, I hope. I think all those chips, metal chips, came out of my compressor out of the switch. I don't know. Anyway, I run the wires down through here, and this is kind of a weird thing because it's on the other side of this block that's where they connect, and you just have to pry it out of there with your pocket knife or whatever. Pry this block out, and then here's the connections right on the back of it here. So I'm going to run a piece of wire into there to use for the control wire, and the instructions tell me which one of these to use if I'm going to use DC and which ones to use when I'm not going to use AC. Well, I'm using AC, so I'll have to double check the instructions because it's been a few days since I read them. This may take me just a couple of minutes to figure out because they claim that the wire is connected at the factory, but there's no wire connected, and they claim there's an I and an L and things, and I've got to get a magnifying glass and look around on this little block and see if I can find anything, because right off I don't see anything marked with anything. And I'm going to have to figure this out, obviously. Dave over at the Mini Machine Shop channel had sent me a link to some of these nice wheels for the U2 grinder, and this is the one that came with it, this cup wheel. And I ordered a couple of wheels after I started looking around, and this is one of the new ones. I had to put two of the shims on there to hold it tight because one shim got thick enough, but that's not a big deal. And it seems to run really nice and true, and appears to be the same material, diamond impregnated whatever that is, so that should work really good. I'm still waiting on the other one I ordered to come in, and then I'm going to make some modifications here for another use. Now, I know this is not a pretty sight. It's a redneck job. The little automatic solenoid blowdown valve didn't come with any kind of a bracket. There's not even mounting holes or anything like that, and I hadn't planned on that, so what I'll wind up having to do is make a bracket that goes behind those bolts there, and allows me to clamp that metal block there underneath it to it so that it'll stay where it's at. Right now it's not beautiful, but I've wired it into the starting switch, and when the motor comes on, the valve opens and it blows right here. Of course, right now there's not a lot of water because when I hooked all this up, I dropped out about a quart of water that was down in it. You can see the hose that I put on there comes from down below. Up here it's one of those push-on kind, which is really convenient, and it doesn't seem to leak or anything. I do have a leak, an air leak, right there. That little whip has got an air leak, so it'll come on in a minute and demonstrate this thing giving a few seconds of water blowing. I've got it set for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 seconds. So every time that the compressor starts, it'll blow water out for 5 or 6 seconds. And if that doesn't look like it's keeping up, well, I'll make it blow longer, but I don't think it needs to be any longer. We'll see. Now when this thing comes on, it's going to be noisy and everything, so you won't hear the thing blow the bottom of the tank out there. So I stuck that shop towel in the hole, and you'll see it blow out of the hole, and that'll be my proof that this thing's working. Alright? It seemed like Cooter got him a couple of new dogs, and so Bubba went over to this place to take a look at them, you know, and he come around and looked at them, and they were, you know, nice puppies, big enough, you know, to be weaned off from their mother, and they, you know, going to grow pretty good. And Bubba said, well, he says, them some sure some nice looking dogs there, Cooter. He says, have you named them yet? Cooter says, yep. He says, this one right here is Rolex, and this one right here is Timex. Bubba looked at him, and he thought on that a minute, and he says, well, Cooter, he says, them's kind of unusual names. He says, how come you name those dogs that? Cooter said, well, it's of course on account of their watchdogs. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.